All right, you're most welcome to our career strategy mentorship. Much humbled to have you part of this program. And thank you so much for making the right key decision for your career. To some of you who were part of the previous sessions, I also have some people who are part of similar mentorship like this. I believe that you have realized that you actually need to do something about your career, something about the things that can actually help you get into the positions that you're actually interested to join, okay? And that is why we are here. Now, as Alia shared with you, this is a more detailed than what we had in the free training. This is more tailored, and this is more to help you take action. Okay, I know from the last session we really had kind of an opening. Your mind was opened up to possibilities. So this mentorship is to see you start right away on your journey of creating something that you love, something that can really bring results in your life. Okay, so basically along our journey, like earlier indicated, we'll be looking at how to create a winning CV for any job. Okay, we'll also look at aspects of how to pass interviews and be hired for senior positions. I know some of you are in lower positions and you are aspiring to join senior positions. We shall also look at aspects of how to create a professional LinkedIn profile that attracts recruiters to help you get hired, and then also something to do with how to earn promotion at your current job. Okay, so those are kind of the things that we shall be looking at along the way. So for us to kickstart what we will be looking at, basically for today's session, okay, today's session is all going around to be around CVs, the Curriculum Vitae, okay, and of course some other people may call this resume. Okay, the resume is an American way of calling a CV. Okay, and it's basically that first document that somebody is really interested in. I know in most cases, some cases they even ask you to just share your CVs because they know the cover letter is basically summarizing what is in the CV. Okay, so the CV is the main thing, of your job strategy as such. Okay, now before I jump into CVs, I want to give you a key highlights. Okay, I want to give you a key highlights, especially around your career in terms of by us looking at CVs right now does not mean that you're leaving your current job. Okay, does not mean that you right away it is something that you should come to your mind. Now, of course, if situations push you to that end, well and good. That should be the decision that you should be making along the way. But anyone who is professional, anyone who is in the career world should have an updated CV at any point in time, okay? Should have an updated CV at any point in time. Why? Because opportunities keep coming every day, and opportunities also can show up at any point in time. I think you've had scenarios, or maybe you've had somebody ask you to say, please, can you send me your CV urgently? And you don't want to take a lot of time in, again, getting that CV that you updated about maybe last year or 2 years back. And that is the CV that you actually updated. Actually, a CV should be a live document. By live document, I mean a CV should be updated at least every month, or every time you have a change in, let's say, your duties, or in every time you have an achievement that you've made, that should be updated within your CV. Every time you have an academic credential added to your career profile, the CV should be updated. So that by time, even when you see a job offer, okay, all you have to do is now tailor your CV to that job offer. Okay, you don't have to again start from zero to try to boost up your CV, because it will take you a lot of time, and it is highly likely that you would have forgotten some of the things that you would have included in your CV that would make you stand out. Okay, so that is one thing that you need to basically know, that we are not just preparing this CV for the job, but this CV should be a live document that you should have. It's basically, it is something that tells, it's like your national ID when it comes to your career. Sindagamondu, okay, as they call it. So that is why we want to give it more focus, especially in this session, so you understand what a CV is basically, and what can you exactly create. Okay, so the setting of our session, since this is a mentorship, I'll be glad to also hear from you. Okay, and I'll create that time at the end of the session to be able to answer questions, but also hear from you, and then we're able to learn and make any clarifications that we might have. Okay, so that is very, very important for us. So that is how the session will run. Basically, make sure that you use the chat box, okay, to be able to drop any kind of maybe challenges or questions that you might have. In case you're watching this as a replay, you can have your challenges, questions written down, and if at the end of the session these are not answered, then you can be able to revert, and we'll be able to answer this along the way. Okay, yeah, so make sure that by the time we finish today, you have all the clarification you need to creating a professional CV, and a CV that will make you stand out of the rest. Okay, yeah. So of course, we know very well that CV is two things: is the content as well as the outlook. Okay, two things: the content of the CV as well as the outlook. Okay, so it's very important. And just to show you something small here. Okay, so I have some CVs that I want to just show you. Then we're able to learn. It's going to be very practical, okay? So you don't have too much worry, okay? So we have this CV number one, okay? This CV is for Jane Akelo. Jane Akelo is an Anglican, is a Ugandan, is single, her residence is Kampala, and so on, okay? So this is, and this is basically a dummy CV, okay? For learning purposes. Now, we have been told, I think through school, I think I first learned about a CV, I think in my form senior 4. I think that is maybe in the English class is where they do CVs. Then also at the university, also we were able to do some CVs, okay? But the principle is, we have been told that CVs should actually look like this. And actually, most people that are leaving university have CVs that look similar to this, okay? This is something that most of them usually do have. And in most cases, what somebody wants to basically indicate, their biodata, and this will take even a half of the page, okay? So we have this CV right here, as you can see, just from the facial outlook. And then we have another CV right here. Just let me just show you another CV. Okay, but you should be able to note something as for whatever CV you see, you should be able to get something from what you're seeing. Okay. Okay. So we have another CV right here. So this is another CV, and this is a similar person like maybe Jane Akelo. Okay, so this is how the CV looks like. Okay, now if you're having this CV looking like this, okay, and then you have the first CV looking like this, Yours is to ask yourself, which of the two CVs looks more professional than the other? Okay, is it this one? Okay, let's call this CV number 1, and then call this CV number 2. Which one looks more professional to you from just the first 5 seconds? Is it that one, or it is this one? So this is our CV number 1, and then the other is CV number 2. So which one? Okay, so somebody says CV number 2, CV number 2. Okay, so, and that is why we are saying that CVs is not only about the content, it's about also the way it looks like. And you have heard this, that on average, the recruiter has just about 5 to 7 seconds to make a decision about your CV. Okay, and I want to tell you this from a honest background, that if you advertise a job today, you get CVs that you cannot even count. Okay, now if I'm tasked to shortlist for a certain position, you find yourself in circumstances where you can't go through every CV. And if you to go through every CV, then you're going to find yourself that you're going to need over 2-3 days to just shortlist for a single position. Okay, and that is why you see somebody will just get to a CV, just scroll through and make a decision right away and say, this one will appear on the shortlist or will not appear on the shortlist. Now, the first facial look, just like the way we've chosen CV2, is not saying that that alone will get you to the shortlist, but it gets the other person's attention to try to look through your CV, okay? Which we are interested in, okay? Because however good content you have in your CV, if the other person is not giving you a chance to even look at it, then you actually get an issue, okay? You get a problem. Now, instead of just, let's say, for example, now, why this format also is not okay is Jen has provided information that we may not need, okay? Sorry. Jen has provided information that we may not need, okay? Especially for this role. So they have gone ahead to tell us about, okay, their name. Their name is okay. Of course, we will, like, if you're applying for a job and you call Jen Akello, unless if we are in advanced countries where we think that Jen Akello can actually be a man, okay? And also understanding that if I'm shortlisting, because I'm not making the recruitment decision at that level, okay? I'm just shortlisting to invite the candidate. So if you're a man and you call Jen Akello, I'll be able to see that when you actually come through for the interview, okay? Which is a very rare occasion. So if it's Jen Akello, I know this should be a lady, okay? So this information should be irrelevant at this point in time, okay? Should be relevant at this point in time. Date of birth is also something that should not take a lot of your space, okay? Should not take a lot of your space. And I know some of you will say that, but if at all the job requires, let's say, people of a given age, if that is the case, include it within your profile, okay? Let somebody know that let's say an accountant maybe aged maybe 29 years with this experience as you start your profile, okay? But this should not take a lot of your time. Nationality, if you call Jen Akello, you already there, okay? Religion, now religion, this one already, you know the bias that it will create in the person who is shortlisting. If I'm a Muslim who is shortlisting this, and I have Hadija and I have Hasfa and so on, I may feel, we are human, okay? The people that recruit are also human. So I may be tempted to actually shortlist other person. This alone may bias me even before I look at your experience and so on, okay? So, and by just being called Jen Akello, it has already come out. You see, even if somebody is a Catholic, when they see Anglican, maybe they just have an issue with Anglicans, okay? That alone will get, but if you just say, I'm Jenna Akello, the other is personal information. It's not mandatory that you should include it there, okay? Unless it maybe if you're applying in an organization that is maybe an Anglican oriented, maybe you want to include that. But when it comes to religion, that should not be something that should basically appear. The same thing with marital status, okay? Your marital status is also something that should take a lot of your time, okay? So this should really be away from your CV. Remember, your CV needs to be at least a maximum of 3 pages, and 3 pages is for people who are really experienced, okay? But if somebody is just not experienced that much, 1-2 pages, that is a standard. That should be the standard that should work in, okay? But if you start listing all this information, you find yourself in a position where you're going to get a point in time where you cannot easily work within the limited number of pages, okay? So it's important. So instead of listing it right here, like the way Jen has indicated it, I'll just remove this, and I'll remove this. I'll just have this. So I'll know that this is Jenna Akello, okay? Maybe residence, maybe residence, maybe this person is from Nakawa. You know, don't just put Kampala. Kampala is big. You can you may want to include Nakawa, and maybe that should also be in cases where let's say maybe you have the job is in a given location, and you think that by indicating where you're staying, it gives you more leverage. Okay, I gave you a scenario that if at all the job is let's say maybe in Fort Potro, and let's say you're a person who is in Gulu, okay, indicating Gulu alone on your CV, okay, will make the other person think that you can actually not easily be motivated to cross from Gulu to come and work in Fort Potro, okay? So you don't want to bias. So this is something that you can leave out, but just in case it benefits you, we can try to leave it out. The email is also very key. Reason why you put these details are the details that are going to use to shortlist you, okay? So I may choose to put them maybe right there, okay? Or I may choose to put them maybe right on this other side, okay? Just to get it more professional, okay? So like that. Of course, this can be in sentence case or capitalize each word, okay? Okay. Basically, this should be about like 3 lines, okay? Should be about like 3 lines. Just as you can see, this all information was taking over a half of a page, okay? And somebody was only seeing the first half of the page and wouldn't see even the rest of the information, because all that you're trying to do, by the way, is to make sure that this person can actually read your personal profile, okay, or professional statement. That is the very key thing that you want this person to do. Now, in most cases, we've also been told that please always put the career objective, okay? But you see, the career objective, these are your ambitions. This is you, okay? So as somebody who is recruiting, my interest is not in your career ambition. My interest is in your skill. My interest is in your experience. My interest is in your qualifications. My interest is in your values, okay? My interest is in seeing something that makes you stand out from the rest, something that will make me feel like out of the 500 CVs, we should give a chance to this person, okay? That is very important. So what this means that instead of having this as your career objective, have it as your personal statement, or you can call it career profile, whatever you may call it, but it should be the same thing, okay? Either a personal statement or career profile, whatever it is, okay? Okay, let me just try to. Okay, I'll just make that. And this is just a simplistic kind of template. So this should include your personal statement, okay? As you can see, this was Jen, and this is what she wrote. Just try to increase the font. Jen wrote and said her career objective previously was to work with various professionals who offer me opportunity for career advancement, professional growth through working in the organization, within an organization, institution, or firm that rewards talent, brilliant performance, develops human resource, exposes new financial management challenges. All this is you as Jen, okay? But what is in it for me as the person who wants to recruit you, okay? So that is why the career objective is something that is for you, okay? Have this as somewhere else within your maybe records, because that is your career objective. That is why you've chosen to apply for this organization, like for this job in this organization, okay? And that's why it's very important for you to have that in mind. Now, once you know that now this is my personal statement. Now, personal statement is basically an introduction of you. Who are you? Okay, who are you basically? Okay, and I'll give you an example, just like from this CV right here. I know I could have some nanny accountants who have joined in. So I'll try to use accountant CVs, but it's the same principle, okay, across, so even for other kind of careers as well. I believe you can be able to relate, okay? So this is what her career profile reads, okay? I am a multi-skilled accounting professional with a strong accounting, financial, and tax background, comma. Throughout my career, I've been involved in grants accounting, ensuring correct statutory deduction, computations, and declarations, comma, preparation of cash flow forecasts, preparing donor financial reports, and budget variance analysis. In addition, I provided technical support and inputs to financial planning, as well as preparation of final accounts, both for monthly and annual reporting, among other roles. I also have working experience and training in the use of the widely used accounting softwares like QuickBooks and advanced Microsoft Excel. Now, yours is one of the things that you should basically do in this profile, okay, or personal statement, is to sell yourself, okay, is to sell yourself. And you should be able to bring out anything that actually makes other person feel like this is the person we need to take, okay? Now, like I said, if you've had anything extraordinary in your life, in your career life, that you feel will make you stand out from the other candidates, every time, of course, you apply for a job, when you're applying for a job, you have something in mind that you think will increase the possibilities of getting the other job, okay? And how you find out about that is by looking at a job description of the job, okay? Is by looking at the job description of the job. Now, we want to try out one of the jobs here. let me just try to show you one of the jobs that we can see. So I've moved to one of the job sites here. It's called Uganda Jobs Online. This must be common to most of you. So it has, we are going to see, since Jen is an accountant, we are going to see, we're going to find 2 roles, okay? So I think we can try to look at this one, oil palm, okay? So it was posted today, and this was, okay, the deadline is 4th, okay? So it's still on. So now, this is the job, okay? Forgive these adverts that are coming. Okay, so the job is actually they want accountants, okay, and the organization is Oil Palm Uganda Limited, and then we have reporting to the head of finance. They give us an introduction of who they are. Of course, the reason why they give you this introduction is to make sure that you understand the organization you're going to work for, okay, or you're applying to. They go ahead to give you the responsibilities, the key duties and responsibilities, okay? As you can see, you'll be responsible for dealing with bank accounts payables, outgrowers, farmers accounts with fresh fruit batches, reconciliation of accounts, including bank reconciliation and online SAP environment with other users, preparation of cash flow statements and so on, compliance and statutory requirements, as you can see. And then they get down here and says qualification, skills and experience. So we get down there saying the applicant should be holder of any of the following. They should have BCom, business administration, CPA, SCCA. They should have a minimum of 3 years experience in similar working environments through the knowledge of SAP. Candidates having FICO certification will have added advantage. Then we have good communication skills. We have good computer skills with knowledge in Excel and Tally. We have good interpersonal skills, high levels of integrity, and team player, okay? So basically that, and they want us to, you send your applications to this, means you send your CV and then cover letter, okay? So this is the job that we are seeing right here. Now, if this is the job that we are seeing, ours is to ask ourselves, if at all somebody is applying for a job, if at all this lady, Jenna Kello, had gone ahead to use this CV to apply for this job, would she be hired? Okay. Now, I told you 2 things, that the person who is looking at these CVs, we have 2 people that are looking at these 2 CVs. It's either a system or a natural person, okay? It's either system or a natural person. Now, a natural person may think beyond what they are seeing, okay? For example, if I see this one is an accounting professional and she goes ahead to list some of these things, I'll definitely assume that they can actually do other things, even if they have not listed them, okay? Maybe those other things, I mean, are in my job description, but they have not listed them. Now, if it is a system, and I want to tell you that most of the recruitments we are having these days, if on percentage level, I think 70% people or employers or recruiters have moved to what we call the ATS, okay, the ATC, okay, or ATS, okay, the application tracking systems, okay. And what the application tracking systems do is that they use keywords, okay, they use keywords. So what they do is this is your CV, okay, and also what the other will be, if that is your CV. Now, when they are designing the ATC, ATC has the job, will have this job, what? Job description, okay? So the way the HS system works is that it will be looking for different keywords. Now, for example, this role is going to be for somebody who is going to look out for maybe who is going to be doing banks accounts payable. Okay. Now, the keyword here may be accounts payable. Now, the system will be able to filter out your CV to be able to look out for accounts payable. So part of the one of the keywords that will be put in the system is accounts payable. Okay, accounts payable, and then the other person will go ahead to put something like maybe receivables. Okay, and then we'll go ahead to put the word like reconciliation. Okay, and then we'll go put another word like SAP, and then we'll do another word like cash flow statement. Now, like for example, preparation of cash flow statement. As you can see, if at all Jen had used this application to apply and assist in that is a system kind of system that is applying, this word cash flow forecast has characters that are similar to the cash flow statement. Okay, as long as they have similar characters in some or the other, it will show. Okay, but if it was maybe preparation of the cash flow statement, in one way or the other, it will be able to pick it up much easier. Okay, so that's important for you to understand. So every time you're doing your personal profile, yours is to look at what we have basically here. So if this was the job, what I would do if I'm refining what I have in my career summary, I'll just try to look at some of the keywords. Now, as you can see, they are looking for somebody who has 3 years experience. Now, if Jen has, let's say, 4 years experience, okay, I'll come here and say, I am a multi-skilled accounting profession, okay, with a 4 years experience. Okay. Now, the reason why I'll include this here maybe comma with that. The reason why I include it here is that if somebody is looking at my CV, the first thing after they have seen my name here and so on, this alone will get their attention and say, oh, we're actually looking for an accountant with 3 years experience. So this alone would tap in their eyes, okay? And it will get them interested. Now, whatever you write is to interest the other person to continue reading your CV, okay? So you're basically selling yourself to them. You know, in selling, there's what we call you touch on the pain point of the person you're selling to. That is the best way to sell. Okay, know that this person is looking for something good in this sort of sell them in that way. Okay, so that is what I'll basically do. So I'll make sure that I include the 4 years experience. Now, I'll come back to my CV here, and I'll see that they're actually interested in somebody who holds a Bachelor of Commerce. Now, even when I'm an accountant, yes, okay, I'm an accounting profession, okay, it doesn't stop me from including my qualification as well, okay, to be able to tap onto the keywords, because if it's a system that is recruiting, one of the keywords they will put is the Bachelor of Commerce. So if I don't have a Bachelor of Commerce, it means I'm reducing on my ranking, okay? So I'll come here and say maybe I'm a multi-skilled accounting profession with a bachelor's degree in commerce. Okay, with a bachelor's degree in commerce, maybe comma. Of course, the English, that one once I've already captured the keywords, I can come and make sure I work on the grammar. Okay, I work on the grammar. But in the same way, I know that maybe I can even come here and say, put it accounting option, okay? If it's the accounting option like what I do have, I'll include it there, okay? And reason why I'm also putting it here is because that is exactly what is actually on the job description, the job description, the qualification and so on, okay? Now, just in case I also have used SAP, like I have used SAP, okay? If I know I have used SAP, I'll be able to include it there, okay? For example, here where I included, let's say QuickBooks, okay? I'll start with SAP, okay? I'll start with SAP. I know that the fact that I've attracted this person with the first, because the first three sentences of my profile have already attracted this person to read. So it is highly likely that they'll read the whole profile, okay? It is highly likely that they'll read the whole profile. So if I want to attract them, I'll also include it there. So instead of, for some people who just want to put career objective and then you go ahead and include that skill down under, maybe under your skills and what, now somebody may not reach on the third page, okay? And you not blame them because they have several CVs and they're also workers, they have targets. They cannot spend a lot of time on your CV when they're actually better people with better CVs, okay? Yeah. And remember, sometimes your CV is like the fourth that is being, not even fourth, but the 40th CV that is being looked at. You know, sometimes what exactly happens is, especially for applications that are through emails, let me tell you this. One time I applied for a job. I applied for this job on, I saw the advert like today. I went ahead and applied for it the same day. And even before the end of the advert, I'd been invited for the interview, okay? Even before the end of the advert date. And that is why it's not good for you to first wait for the advert date to end, okay? And why this works like this is that as you send through this CV, somebody's looking through how many people have sent through so far, okay? The reason why they give an extension of, let's say, 5 days and say maybe submit your CV by maybe if today is 22nd and they put maybe up to 30th. The reason why they do that is that they are putting in, just in case they are not able to receive in the first days, they still have room for CVs that will come through, okay? And you see, when somebody's even looking at the CVs, when they are shortlisting, in most cases, they will start with those first emails that have come through, okay? Reason why, it shows a trait on the other person who has applied, okay? So that is why you see, every time you see an advert for a CV that is asking for you to submit your CV, don't say, let me wait for the deadline, okay? The deadline would work for you, and that would be luck. Of course, out of luck, maybe you can be part of those CVs, or this person can change and start from the last CVs that have been received. But anyways, person who's shortlisting will start with those guys that applied first, okay? Because they want to give them first priority, and it also shows something about them, okay? So that is what I'll basically do. So in the same way, after I've used this portion of my qualifications, now I can even include these others, okay? Like communication skills and computer skills. Like you saw, Excel and Tally, these were important. So Excel and Tally already in here. As I think we saw, there was this is actually QuickBooks. So if at all I know Tally as well, I'll include it here. Now, I'm not telling you to include something that you don't know, but I'm telling you to include the things that you know that match with what has been advertised. And this is what we call the tailoring your CV, okay? This is what we call the tailoring your CV. So you do like that. And then the other next thing that you also do is, after you've done this, you can include also some soft skills. You come to your roles and responsibilities, okay? And also try to include something. Now, as you can see, we have compliance of statutory requirements for VAT, excise, pay, income tax, and so on. Now, if you look at this introduction or your career profile, I think you saw something, ensuring correct deduction, computations, and declaration. this matches what we have the other side, okay? But just in case, I can even add and include things like this, okay, ensuring correct deduction, computation, and declarations. I'll come and include here and say for taxes like VAT, pay as you earn, withholding tax, etc. As it is the other side, okay? Now, of course, you have to make sure that this is not very long, okay? But it tells somebody, because you see, this is what is going to make the person, actually the decision is around here. The other things that you're going to include down are going to be a plus, okay? But the first decisions are going to be around here, okay? And then you also want to make sure that at least if you leave out at least, if something is not here, you can actually include it within your, maybe your job experience, okay? But this, you're trying to make sure that you touch the attention of the person who's recruiting, okay? So that is very important for you to understand. So if, for example, there was cash flow, so that one I can include it. I can also try to include something of reconciliation, okay? So this is reconciliation of accounts, what I'll basically do. Now, if I'm applying, and you know, this is a private sector, so I saw something like grants management. If this is grants accounting and this organization does not have anything with grants management, instead of grants management or grants accounting, I'll basically include reconciliation, okay? So that my thing is, I've been, okay, I think I've included, we have, I'll try to remove it here. I'll try to remove grants accounting, okay? And we'll try to include account reconciliation of accounts, okay? I'll just try to make sure it looks like the same. So like that, okay? So just a bit of what is the other side, okay? A bit of what is the other side. So like that. So I believe you get a picture, okay, of how to craft your, basically, in summary for you, your personal profile should include, like I indicated, if you're writing down, should include your skills, your experience, your qualification, your values, okay? And your values could also come, you could also go ahead to include, okay, in addition to that, you can also include anything that makes you stand out, okay? Now, in case Jane had maybe been awarded as the best employer of maybe the month, of a recent month, may go ahead to include it at here as well, okay? Anything that you think can also put you forward, okay, ahead to any kind of opportunities, then include it right there, okay? Include it right there. And you see that is the same thing that happens with, and you know, we shall be looking at this in detail when we come to interviews, but this career profile, you want to make sure the content, that just the way you're indicating it right here, is the same way you would want to craft your tell us about yourself response, okay? When we get down to the tell us about yourself response, yours is to make sure that the words that you're speaking for all those, for maybe the 3 minutes that you've been given, okay? Susan, you're doing something here. Whatever you're speaking in those first minutes that you've been given should be able to indicate something that makes you positioned for the job, okay? And that is why you see, if I've been asked to let's say tell us about yourself in the interview, I have to make sure that I have a good understanding of what? A good understanding of my job description. I know the roles and duties that they are looking for. I also know the qualifications that they are looking out for, okay? So I want to make sure that they are interested in hearing more from me, okay? That is why I'll be able to start right away in there. Tell them about my experience, tell them about my qualifications, tell them about my what makes me stand out, my values, okay, and so on, okay? So I hope that is noted, okay? So that is one element about the CV, okay? One element about the CV, okay? So I come back to Jen's profile here. So at least you now know how to draw your personal statement. Now, Jen here went ahead to start with her education background, okay? She went ahead to use her education background, and she goes ahead to include this in a table, as you can see. Now, tables have a challenge onto them, okay? And some ATC systems have challenges with reading information in tables, okay? So if it's possible, you can avoid tables as much as possible, okay? You can be able to list your qualifications in a way that is not table format, okay? And it has nothing to do with saying it doesn't look good or what and what. At the end of the day, what somebody is basically looking out for is exactly, I think you can basically, you can try to see how this education is listed. This is education, okay? So somebody goes ahead to include, and you see the space it has taken, a very small space, okay? It has taken a very small space, but it has also been able to give the same information that the other person is interested in, okay? So that is something that you should basically be able to note. Now, when it comes to here, as also indicated now, don't start with your education background, okay? Don't start with your education background. Don't start with your education background. After your personal statement, okay? The next key thing that you should basically go to are your skills. Go to your skills, okay? Make sure that you now go to your skills. And why skills are very important is because they help the other person to also make a decision based on what has been advertised, okay? As we saw that we have a section of the required skills and qualifications. So if you include your skills first, it is making the other person continue to get more interested in what you basically have, okay? So it's very important. So for example, for Jen here, Jen would have gone and looked for her skills, okay? She has called these personal abilities and skills. There are very many, okay? Okay, but this, instead of calling it basically, instead of calling it personal abilities and skills, you could actually just include skills, okay? You could just include skills. Now, one of the things that you basically need to know is that some systems that are used to actually shortlist, okay? Some systems that are used to shortlist don't have these things to do with personal abilities. They are named wrongly, okay? So you can maybe call this core skills, okay? Now, when you're doing your skills, make sure that the skills that you're including also, in one way or the other, have a relationship with the skills that these people are looking for. As you can see, these are the skills that we are looking out for. So if it's a system that is shortlisting, these are the key skills that they will be looking out of your CV. Okay. Now, it's highly likely that you actually have these skills with you. Okay. You have them, but because you basically have a lot of information, you end up just sharing any kind of CV. Now, one of the things that you need to basically know is start with your technical skills. Okay. Start with the technical skills and end with your soft skills. Your skills part should have technical skills as well as your soft skills. Okay. So as you've seen the other side, I think communication was part. Okay. Communication was part. Now, if you go ahead to do more explanation, this may take a lot of your space. Okay. So you may just want to just list them. Okay. So they don't take a lot of your time. Now, as you see, these are basically soft skills. So I'll first put them down. Okay. Okay. I'll start with these key skills. Okay. Now, she's saying she has excellent computer skills, computer literate performer with good knowledge of computer applications. Hey, the reason why you've said that you're excellent computer skills, it is something that still shows that you computer literate performer. So don't use a lot of words. Okay. So just remove that and tell us what key skills you have. Okay. You've put Microsoft Excel, SPSS package. If you're applying for this job and you know very well it does not need SPSS package, please remove it. Okay. Remove it. You know very well that this job, from what we have in terms of our skills and qualifications, this job was looking for somebody who knows SAP. It was looking for somebody who has communication skills, computer skills, just like the way you included it right there. As you can see, this is the first thing that we've included there. It wants somebody with interpersonal, somebody who has a level of integrity. Now, you don't have to use the exact words. Okay. You don't have to use the exact words, but find the key words. For example, the key word in this word is communication. Okay. So for you, instead of putting maybe good communication skills, you can actually put excellent communication skills. By the way, don't underrate yourself when you're writing your CV. Okay. Use those words that I think they are called adjectives that makes you stand out. Okay. So if, for example, when I come to, for example, computer skills, it doesn't cost me to say I have outstanding computer skills. Okay. Those key adjectives, they make it, this is what is speaking for you where you're not. Okay. So make sure that you're including those, and they are very key the other side. Okay. So like that. So I believe that at least you know how to now include that within your CV. Okay. So anything that you think is not much relevant, okay, not waste a lot of your time. I think you can see she had interpersonal skills. So it means that the system will be able to pick that up. We have flexibility and adaptability. That may not really attract me that much. I don't want to make my CV have many things. Okay. Since this is a software, I'll just give it a capital letter, and also give this a capital letter like that. Okay. Like such. So this could be my key skills. Okay. My core skills listed there. I like that. Now, once I have these as my core skills, the next part I should look at is my experience, my job experience. Now, the education, remember, education is your past. It's like things that you did in the past. The thing that will make this person attracted to recruit you first will be your experience, even before you look at your education. Now, some of you also don't have good qualifications, but you have good experience. And that is why you see when you front your experience, it makes the other person get more interested. By the time they look at your education background, they're already convinced much more, okay? Now, if you're fresh graduate, maybe you don't have, let's say, experience, you may start with your education. But if you have experience, then you should be able to start with that. Now, also, if you're working in unrelated industry, okay, for example, you're a sales representative in Prudential, but you're applying for an accounting job, okay? Now, I presume that if you're not practicing something, then you're applying for an entry job, okay? Now, right there, you can start with your academic credentials, okay? Reason why you do that is you want first bias the person who is shortlisting with your education background, even before they look at your experience. So that when they get to your experience, they're like, oh, this person has a CPA and they have a degree in BBA, okay? Because immediately, if I'm shortlisting and immediately I see sales manager, and then I see another experienced sales representative, and I'm shortlisting for an accountant's position, I'll tell you that I'll not waste a lot of my time to go beyond, because I already have 5 CVs for people who are in accounting. Now, how am I going to invite somebody who is in sales to come as part of the other? I don't want to waste time for the panel, okay? And I want to make sure I get the best candidate. So I'll leave your CV and first go and try out other CVs. Now, if I leave your CV, the chances that I'll come back to your CV, if I have over 500 CVs, is 0.0001% that I'll come back to look at your CV, okay? So that is why it's important. Now, you make that decision. But if you have the right education they are looking out for, you have the right experience, start with your experience, because it makes you stand out much more, okay? So, for example, for this person, since they had the right experience, I'll just move this down. I'll first start with experience, as you can see, and put it down, okay? Now, make sure that you change this from the table. Don't leave it in a table. Check your space, but also to stop other systems to read you, okay? So I'll now come to my experience, okay? I'll now come to, keep the questions coming through. I'll be able to look at them shortly. Now, you have your experience. Now, here, I don't need to call it professional experience and training, just experience or job experience, okay? Job experience. Now, how you call these things out is also very key, by the way, okay? Because we have, there are systems that are built in a way that they only want to look out for job experience from your CV, okay? They want to look out for job experience from your CV, okay? So it's important that you know you put the right word, okay? So that is important for you. And then one of the key things that should also be in your CV is when it comes to job experience, definitely start with the recent one, okay? For example, accountant to date, you can say accountant to date, okay, April to that, I'll put it right there, okay? And then I'll put something to do with, let's say, now, this one starts with job responsibilities, okay? Starts with job responsibilities. Now, let me just show you an insight. Let me just show you, let's just compare it with this other CV that we are looking at. So if somebody has that in their CV, and this other person has, let's say, just show you. Okay. So this is also job experience. So this person includes the organization they are working for, and they start with achievements, and then they go to job duties and responsibilities. Now, duties and responsibilities, every one of us know that you can include, everyone has generic job duties and responsibilities, and it's not something that anyone fails. But in the same way, including a job role and responsibility does not actually mean that you're actually doing the job, okay? Doesn't mean that you're actually doing that role. It could be just part of your job description. So that's what people usually do. They get their work job descriptions and they come and paste them here, okay? Now, instead of including your job description or job roles and responsibilities directly here, first catch the recruiter's eye by starting with your achievements. You're in that role, but what have you exactly achieved, okay? What have you exactly achieved? It's very important. Now, when it comes to, let's say, writing your achievements and job duties and responsibilities, I'll still go back to my job that is being advertised, okay? So as you can see, the job that is was advertised here is a job that has these responsibilities. Now, the key secret here that you need to take from today is that when you're doing your duties and responsibilities, make sure that your achievements, you start with the achievements, then you put your duties and responsibilities, okay? But the way you present them should be able to tell when somebody reads the first, let's say, 3 job roles and responsibilities, in one or the other, they should be able to reflect that you can actually perform this job, okay? They should be able to indicate that you can actually perform this job. Now, and that is why you see, you don't just bring your roles and responsibilities and just paste them there. Yours is to look at what exactly are you doing. So you already have your roles and responsibility. Maybe this is your DAMES CV, okay? Just like the way we have, maybe I'll come here on read so you understand. Most of your CVs could be looking like this. So these were her duties, and she said prepare assets and that, document financial and that, maintain. Now, the language also matters, okay? The language also matters the way you write. Now, these are typical job roles and responsibilities, just picked from a job description and pasted here, okay? I would rather, instead of saying prepare asset liability and what, I say I do prepare. Own up. Are you actually doing it? Own up. And I'll start with I do prepare, okay? And document finance, you go ahead to I document financial, and also you put why do you actually do it? Why do you do it? Why do you document financial transactions by entering them, by entering accounting information? Maybe to ensure that these are easily traced in the times of audit and maybe the times of reporting. So somebody knows what is the intent of whatever you are doing, okay? But like I said, start with your achievements. Now, you ask me, so how do I get the achievements? Now, achievements, there are things that you've done at work and your boss has been happy about, okay? That can be the starting point, but you can actually get your roles and responsibilities and be able to derive achievements. Now, just analyze your current work and see. From the time you joined that role and up to now, what things have changed, okay? what are some of the things that have changed from time? Now, some of the achievements could not be, may not be individual, but you were part of the team that actually executed that. So it is part of your achievements, okay? If, for example, you joined an organization where they had maybe a fine of maybe of tax because they were not filing taxes, and during your tenure, this has improved, they don't have any fine, then you're able to include that, okay? If it's reconciliation, maybe you found their accounts in poor state and reconciled, okay? They had reconciling balances that they had been held for several years, and you reconcile them, you be able to include it there, okay? So try to just look at your role and see what things have changed between the time I joined and the time I'm actually doing right now. And as you do them, as you do that, make sure that you have in mind what this person is looking out for, okay? For example, I would say when it comes to the role and responsibilities here is will be responsible for dealing with bank accounts payable, outgrowers farmers account from fresh fruit branches, receivables, and general accounting. So mine is to ask myself, if I'm doing bank accounts payable, if I'm actually doing it, what have we achieved in this kind of role, okay? So I'll be able to know that, okay, accounts payable, these are creditors, so what exactly has really helped? I think maybe you've been able to prepare accurate account reconciliations for suppliers in a timely basis, and this has reduced on fines from suppliers for late payments, okay? Find something that you can easily relate. For example, if it for example, reconciliation of bank accounts, in case you found maybe a huge reconciling issue, you should be able to bring it out and say, one of my achievements, I was able to improve on the bank reconciliations to the extent that for the last 2 or 3 years, we've not had reconciling items cascading for over 2 months plus, okay? So find right words that you can see, you can create for them to see that, oh, this is actually an achievement. This is something that somebody has done, okay? This is something as somebody has done. So it's important. And you make sure that as you set the achievements, you have in mind what the recruiter is saying. At least your first 2-3 achievements should have an inclination to this. One of the things that you also need to know is that the person who is recruiting, actually, sometimes they don't know the work that you're actually going to do, okay? The person who is recruiting doesn't know exactly the work that you're going to do. Sometimes it's an HR person, okay? Or it's actually a junior person. Sorry, it's actually a junior person who is shortlisting. So if they can't see and that's what we call the keywords, because in the same way, that's how even the systems, by the way, do. The systems that shortlist also do the same thing. They basically look out for the keywords, okay? They basically look out for the keywords. And if at all you don't have the right keywords, then you end up actually missing out, okay? You end up missing out. So it's important that you know how to actually review your CV before you can submit it, okay? To increase your chances of being hired, okay? So that is very important. I have some questions here. Before I can proceed, I can try to answer them. I think, and I said, please keep the questions coming. The first was a comment. Thanks so much. It is interesting. I see many why we could always be kicked out. What about if you've worked in the same position for more than 5 years, the same organization? What experience could you put? Okay, this is Perida. Now, if you've worked in the same organization for the same position for over 5 years, In the same way, include it the way it is there, okay? Because at the end of the day, even when they're doing, let's say, reference checks and so on, they will find out that you actually served in this position. But what will make you bias the other person from thinking negatively about you staying in a given role? If at all during that time you were delegated, maybe you stood in for somebody, that could be something that you can include in your CV as well. Okay, maybe one of the managers was off for leave or for maternity, and you stood in for them. Include it right there as an acting. So it's tries to expand onto your experience. Okay, but also yours should be to leverage on your achievements during that time. Leverage on your achievements, so that somebody knows that this person has been in this role for the last 5 years, but there's not just been business as usual, but they have been able to, they have been doing extraordinary things. Okay, they have been doing, I think it's not rare to find somebody being in a position for 5 years. There are many people that stay longer in positions. Okay, and sometimes it also could be an advantage, because there are some recruiters that know that hate job hopping. They call it job hopping. Okay, so it helps you in one way or the other. Say maybe you're committed. Okay, you're a committed person, but front your achievements. Okay, front your achievements. So somebody goes ahead, says, in case I'm looking for a career change, but my experience matches some small aspects of the job description, start with those. Okay, your current job description, if what you're doing exactly right now has just a few of what is the job, start with those right there. Okay, start with those. But also you might for example I would say you may not be doing a given job and you're doing a career change, but you have gained some skills along the way. Okay, now if you've gained some skills along the way, maybe through trainings. Okay, as I know some of you have been part of our trainings, especially for those that have an accounting background. Okay, if you've done some trainings in that similar to what the other person is looking out for, or you've done some volunteering, okay, let that appear within your career profile right here. Okay, so you're not going to include it in your experience because you have not done it before. But if you can fail these taxes, even the fact that you're a salesperson somewhere, somebody will want to give you a chance. Okay, would want to give you a chance and ask you in detail when you come for the interview, or test you. Okay, to make sure that you understand these things. And that's why you see, if you're making a career change, the other person on the other side is asking themselves, why are they making a career change? But at the same way, what have they done towards their desired career change? Okay, what have they done towards their career desired change? So that is something that is very important for you. So if you're making a career change, make sure that you have the right skills that relate to that job, and you can include those within your career profile or personal statement. And when it comes to the experience, make sure you front those that match the other side. In case you don't have any, you may front your volunteering experience. Okay, in case you have any volunteering experience you might have that is related, you can include that down. Okay, as part of your previous experience. So somebody just knows that, okay, today you're in another career, but you've actually done this before. Okay, because everyone wants to recruit somebody who has done something before. And the reason why that will happen is that, for example, if I'm recruiting an accountant, you may find that this accountant is going to report to the CEO. Maybe this is a very small organization. So I'm not going to incur a lot of expenses in teaching this person. I want somebody who has trained. Okay, so that's important for you to understand. The other one, somebody says, okay, how do I capture them easily if I have passion in that role? The career profile. Okay, career profile. And that is even where you include it you including your degree, maybe that where you want to make the career change also relates to your degree, okay, that you did at the university. You're also including maybe some certificates you've actually done. So your passion in moving to the next should be depicted in what you've done currently, okay, to move to the other side. It's not just about passion, like I now want to become an accountant, but you're not doing anything. You've not done any short training in the last couple of years. You've not gained any kind of skill, okay? So you're not in that career, but at least you have the skill. It's the same thing also if you're in a given role, but maybe you're not exposed that as much. For example, you could be an accountant receivable, so you're not doing other kind of roles, okay, that this job is requiring. Now make sure that you include this in your career profile. If at all you know those kind of skills, because they will ask you when you go for an interview, the CV is one of the documents that the interviewers will have with themselves, asking you these things to confirm that you actually know them, okay? So that's why I want to say, include what you actually know. I don't really recommend people to put things that they don't know in their CVs, okay? Unless you're stating me that you're actually including them, and between the time when they will call you for the job and the time you're applying, you're actually going to get those respective skills, okay? So that by the time you go the other side, you actually have them. But in the same way, don't include organizations you've never worked for, okay? Because those, when somebody finds out, it's an issue with your integrity, okay? You'll be banned from joining that organization, okay? I want to tell you that in most cases, sometimes some CVs, you may not be recruited for a job, but your CV can be kept for another job, okay? And there is what we call the waiting list. You can be included part of the waiting list, and they can easily reach out to you accordingly, okay? Yeah. So I think I've also answered Susan as well when it comes to moving from sales to accounting, okay? Can I write general achievements, starting with that is related to the JD? Like I said, start with what is related to the JD. In the same way, when you're doing your roles and responsibilities, okay? When you're doing your roles and responsibilities, the first 4 roles, these first roles should have in a way that tries to create a match. Like I said, don't copy and paste, okay? Because when you copy and paste, somebody will just think that you actually just putting them there. Okay, so sorry, I went off. So what I was trying to indicate is that make sure that whatever you're including positions you for the job, okay? And that's why I'm saying is that as part of your roles and responsibilities, the first 4 duties, okay, should in one way or the other have a way that they look like the other side. Not look like, but should create a match, okay? You should create a match in one way or the other. And I want to just show you something small. For example, and you should be doing the role, by the way, okay? The reason why I'm saying you need to link is because I don't want you to include unnecessary roles that don't depict the role that you apply. I know some of you are doing several kind of things. Even you're even part of several committees. You're doing several kind of things. You sometimes even come in and stand in for the salesperson as well, okay? Or you're the receptionist as well. And also when it comes to, so the key thing is to make sure that you're including responsibilities that are in line with what? That in some way or the other are similar. For example, I'll tell you, for example, it's compliance of statutory requirements for VAT. If I'm actually doing this role, one of the things that I'll basically include, I think you can see, one of the things that was included in this CV right here was to do with I fail monthly returns for organization statutory deductions as this. Now, this is not exactly the words that they have used the other side. But when I look at this and I'm the recruiter, then I know that this person is actually doing partly the work that we are looking out for. Okay, so that's important. Susan here says, do I start with my personal statement, then job experience first, or I start with my personal statement followed my education background? Now, Susan, if you're moving from sales to accountant, okay, or you wanted your layout, start with the personal. Okay, start with of course your biodata up right there, your name, address, phone number. Come to your personal. Now, personal statement should be a personal statement that will convince somebody that even if they come to look at your sales background, the personal statement is going to convince them, okay, that you can actually do the work. And I believe that if you're coming from sales, the job that you're applying for is an entry job, okay, is an entry job. So yours should be, if you look moving from one industry to the other, okay, like from let's say from one career to the other, start with the entry jobs, okay? Start with the entry, because those ones you have more advantage, because you're not going to become a finance manager who is going to supervise accountants when you've never done the kind of work, okay? So start with your personal statement. After that, come and include your education. Now, you'd only include that education if at all, okay, not before even your education, include your skills, okay? Include your skills. Now, in your skills, the skills may not be ideally related to the work that you're doing. You know, you can be a salesperson, okay? But when you actually have good Microsoft Excel skills, so include them there. You could also be a salesperson, but when you actually know how to use Tally, you know how to use QuickBooks, you know how to use SAP, include them there, okay? Now, after that, if your education background, maybe you did an accounting degree, and maybe you've also pursuing CPA, include them there, okay? Now, those first things are convincing the other person, because the other person sees them in a chronological kind of order, okay? So they keep on looking at each of them as they go through your CV, okay? So you want to convince them that by the time they come to your professional experience, theirs is convinced that this person can actually do. Now, if you also have some work that you're volunteering, okay? For example, and I'll give you this as a key advice. If you want to move from one career to the other, find somewhere where you can volunteer, okay? Find somewhere where you can volunteer, because in the same way, just know that if you have a sales experience and that you're fronting up, you want to compete, you want to make sure, you don't want to have the other person to have reservations, especially for applications that are made openly. For example, like adverts that are made open, like maybe online adverts or adverts in newspapers. You don't want to be filtered out because there are many people who have applied for the job. So this person wants to, because maybe they are reviewing your CVs, maybe the 10th CV, so they know that they have over 500 CVs to look at, okay? So find somewhere you can volunteer. Even if you are near, find an organization where you can volunteer. It doesn't need to be a big brand, okay? And the volunteering does not mean that you're there full time. You can be there basically maybe part time, but when you're mastering the skill, okay? So I want to tell you that, I'll give you an example that we had a case where somebody was, I think, was a customer service person. This person was customer service person and was coming from AfriCell, okay? And then we had another person who was an accounts assistant in a construction company, okay? I don't remember the construction company. But this person who was in a construction company as an accounts assistant stood out more than this person who was a customer service person in AfriCell from the shortlisting, okay? Now, in the same way, like I said, there are systems that are actually shortlisting. I'll actually share with you one of the links to the systems that where you can test your CV, okay? Free systems. So if it's Professional judgment. If I'm recruiting, for example, and I've only asked maybe a friend share with me a CV of somebody whom you know, there I can make such decisions. I can say this person can actually do this kind of work even without experience. But if you want to also prepare yourself for a system shortlisting where there's no person, national person who is looking at your CV, you want to make sure that you're using the right keywords in your CV. And that's the right keywords can best come if you have some volunteer experience, okay? And you don't even have to include it that you're volunteering, but find an organization where you ask this person and say, you don't have an accountant, can I volunteer to be your accountant and come and be looking at your accounts? And I can be able to include that on my CV. Including it on your CV does not mean you're lying, okay? Doesn't mean that you're faking. You're actually doing this thing. You're actually supporting this person, okay? And you actually know this kind of work. You're not just putting it there, but you actually know. So I hope somebody says, can volunteering for a period of 6 months can be viable for recruiters? Yes, it can. It is better than just having a sales experience without any element of volunteering, okay? So it depends on the role as well, okay? But just know it is much better than having no experience at all. So I hope that is helpful. So just in case you have more guidance that I've not highlighted, we can have you can be able to post that on to the group. I'll put it to a private platform so I can be able to answer in more detail, or we can have a one-on-one. You can be able to reach out to me on a one-on-one, and I can be able to clarify more. Okay, yeah. So I believe you've gotten more around the experience. Okay. What you should be able to, if you have many roles that you've done, and if you have a kind of role that is irrelevant, okay, let's say maybe you were a sales representative before you started your career, you may leave that out, okay? You may leave that out, unless maybe you have maybe you've only worked two organizations, okay, maybe only 2 roles. That if you leave it out, it may create a question of, let's say, maybe a distance within your CV. Someone may ask that from the time of graduation, what exactly happened? Okay. So Ivan missed the last 7 minutes. Ivan, you get the recording. You'll be able to pick that up. I'll just basically answering certain key questions. Okay. Yeah. So after you've included your experience, now you move to your education. Okay. You now move to your education background, okay? And in your education background, yours is to include, start with your recent education, okay? Start with your recent education. And what this would mean is that if you're pursuing, and also when you're doing the education, also mind this. Have a mind on this that the recruiter is looking out for, because these are also keywords. So as you can see, this person should be a holder of Bachelor of Commerce, should have maybe a CPA or a CCA. So in the same way, start with the recent. If the job required masters and you have it, include the masters right there, okay? In case they asked for CPA or CCA and you have CPA, included there, okay? In case you don't have CPA or CCA, but they maybe said it is added advantage, that should not discourage you. Include what you have, okay? Include your BCom accounting, or include your economics and statistics, include, okay? Sometimes it's about related qualification. May not be a BCom, may not be a BBA, but maybe a BS accounting, maybe Bachelor of Science in accounting. Include what is right there, okay? But starting with your most recent and also your most relevant. Now, also, I need to bring this to your attention that if at all you have a qualification that you think may depict you to be overqualified, I believe you've heard this statement. If you have a qualification that depicts you to be overqualified, please leave it out, okay? If you just recently finished a master's and you're applying for a trainee job, or you're applying for an entry job, maybe you're making a career change, please leave it out, okay? For example, if this was the job that they are looking out for, they are looking for an accountant right here. This person is reporting to the head of finance. So there's some level of seniority in the role, but there is no supervision on this role. And they want somebody who has 3 years experience. Some roles, they may even indicate maybe somebody who has 2 years or 1 year experience. Now, if it's 1 year or 2 years experience and you have your master's, you want to be a bit reserved on that master's, okay? Unless it is a relevant master's as well, okay? If it's a master's in science in accounting, well and good, it adds more relevance. But if it's a science in a totally unrelated field, I know there are some of you who started masters even before you'd find a job. So ideally, your masters is not related to your career. Leave that out, okay? Leave it out, because at the end of the day, I'm going to see a master's in environmental science and psychology, and somebody's applying for an accountant's role, and I cannot relate the two things. And one of the things that will indicate also to the person who is recruiting is, of course, it's a natural person. They will think that you'll be demotivated. You're actually using this job as what? As a kind of it's basically it's a painkiller. You don't have a job and you want to just find this job. You want to get this job that it can help you earn a living, but you're not going to be a stable employee. Okay. The same thing also happens with also senior qualifications. If you're applying for this job and this job I'm going to be paying 1 million, for example, if this job is going to be paying less 1.5, and you're coming in with a master's, I'll be able to, I'll a bit hold myself back. Okay. Usually some of even the people that are recruiting are people who don't have this qualification. So they'll fear you who is coming in. And in the same way, they may think they will not be able to motivate you. Okay. So only include relevant education. And also leave out things like primary education. Okay. Don't include things like primary education within your CV. Already you have a master's, you're including primary, you're just putting more information there for nothing. If actually it is advised that include, let's say, basically 3 to 4 recent relevant qualifications. Okay, so if I have a master's, I'll include my master's, include my degree, I'll include let's say my high school and maybe my O level, just in case. Okay, or it also does no harm for me to include let's say my master's, include my bachelor's, and maybe my A level. Okay, but at least I shouldn't go to, let's say, to include primary. And then also in the same way, some people want to include certificates in these CVs. Okay, they want to include certificates in these CVs. Now, those, if they are short-term certificates, have a separate section for them. Okay, and that is like additional information, like short certificates and trainings have a separate section for them. Because there's one CV I saw, somebody started with certificates, like 4 of them, even before they put their degree or diploma. And that alone, this person has 5 to 7 seconds to look through your CV. So immediately, if I'm starting with a certificate, I may think you're a certificate holder, yet you actually have a bachelor's degree just at the bottom. Okay, so start with your recent education and relevant education. In case you have any education that you think is not it does not in any way increase your chances of getting that job, please leave it out. Okay, leave that out. Don't include that education background. Okay, yeah. And I said you don't have to struggle to put this in a table. And if you're doing a course, even if you've not completed it, put in progress. You never know. If you're doing, for example, CPA, for example, this one was doing CPA and had accomplished level 1, include it, because it adds, and also it helps you with the keywords. Because if the keywords for the system that is recruiting is looking out for CPA or certified public accountant, then this keyword will be able to put you on the short list or increase your chances of being on the short list. Okay, so it's important. Of course, the key things are the date, institution, and then the qualification. Okay, yeah. Overall CGPA, you may not really include these details unless they really make you stand out. Okay, this was a first class degree, include it there. But if it's not that, then you don't have to really struggle very much. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so this primary education, this wouldn't be really important. This wouldn't really be important. It does not in any, no one is going to ask you for that basically all primary certificate. Okay, yeah. And like I said, have the other training section, like the certificates you've gotten from other places. And in the same way, for the certificates, put the certificate you hold, the award date, and also the awarding organization. Okay, it's important if you do have that. Okay, yeah, so it's important. So once you then have of course, once you have those in place, once you've already done your you did your personal information, came into to put up your personal statement or career profile, included your skills, okay, and you went ahead to include your work experience, and then you went ahead to include, after your work experience, you included your education background. I think the next thing that you should be able to also look at is any other additional information, okay? Additional information, and this additional information could include things like your certificates, like we've indicated, or certifications, or membership, okay? Just in case you're a member of a given body, that should also be able to come. You're able to put, maybe if you're in a, maybe you have membership in different bodies, you can include a membership section. You can also go ahead to include things like recognitions, because you've been recognized, okay? Maybe your best employee of the year, maybe best customer service person, okay? You can go to include also projects, okay? Include also things like publications. Now, whatever you include in that additional information, because the others are the mandatory fields that we've talked about, whatever you include in those additional information are things that make you more stand out, okay? Now, in the same way, for example, if you're including, let's say, volunteering experience, somebody will know that, okay, this person is a salesperson, but at least they have some volunteering experience. Now, if that volunteering experience increases your chances of getting the job, include it, okay? Important. And then also, one of the other sections that most people usually want to include your interest and hobbies. Now, the interest and hobbies, only include them if at all they are related to the job. Include, like, not even related to the job, but if at all they increase your chances of actually doing what? Of getting the job. Now, you may not have experience in a given aspect, but it could be part of your interests and hobbies, okay? So you can include it right there. But if you don't have anything that relates to the job, that section is irrelevant, okay? Remember, what we are looking for are keywords. Keywords. We want to make sure that even the system is able to pick out that keyword. So if, for example, maybe one of the things that, one of the key skills that they were looking out for is communication, okay? Now, if one of my interests is public speaking as an individual, if I include it as part of my interests, and I know that this job that I'm applying for has an aspect of me facing people and speaking to them, making presentations, then I may go ahead to include it, okay? Yeah, so that is important to understand. But the key thing that you need to take from today is the aspect of tailoring your CV to advertise job, as we've seen. Now, if you're applying for, okay, if you're doing your CV, for example, one of the things that I want you to do, okay, even after this, is to go and work on your CV, okay? Based on what we have done, go and work on your CV. Now, what you should do is go and look out, okay? Go and look out for, let's say, 3 jobs that are in your industry, 3 advertised jobs that are in your industry. For example, if it is my friends that are accountants, just go to this site or any other site, go here and look for accounting jobs. Or if you're an administrator, go look for administrator. If you're a sales, go look. If it's banking, look for that. Now, after you look for those jobs, maybe for example, it's banking, get 3 jobs and look through them, like 3 jobs that are in your career level. Like maybe it's a banking officer. Look through those jobs, okay? And see what are usually the skills that are needed for this job, okay? For example, this is account officer for CREM Microfinance. This is a banking job. So I'll try to include it, try to look through. So this is accounting officer. As you can see, these are the key skills that are needed. So, but I think this was an accountant's job, okay? Though it's in a banking job. Sometimes this system ranks depending on the organization as well. So make sure that you're choosing the right job, okay? But I'm able to come and look at these skills. So these are some of the skills that I should be able to include within my CV, okay? And that CV is like it's like your standard CV, that every time you get a new job, just come and adjust and add a few, just small meat into the CV, just like the way we saw with the CV of Kello. You saw that when we saw the other job, she had already had some elements into her CV. So she used certain kind of, she went ahead and looked at different jobs and was able to craft her respective CV, okay? So that is very important. And the same thing with the skills, but also look at the responsibilities. Okay, the responsibilities basically what you exactly doing, okay? As well as the achievements you have actually made during that time, okay? So the skills here should be able to help you draft your personal statement, as well as your current experience also should be able to help you craft your personal experience, the personal statement, okay? Somebody asked something here. Perida said you talked about values. What can be included? Because you said under personal profile, you look at skills, experience, values, okay? Anything that makes you stand out. Now, yours is to ask yourself is, what are some of the professional values, okay? What are some of the professional values that somebody can have, what like an accountant can have, okay? Now, like things like maybe you're somebody who is committed, okay? Hardworking can be a value or a virtue, okay? Whatever it could be, okay? But for you to basically, I think you've seen organizations have values, okay? I think even when you look through organization websites, and you see even when you're searching about the organization, you're able to find more about their values, okay? As well as you're able to find out about okay, mission and so on. But the values, what does the organization stand for? So what do you also stand for? For example, I'll tell you, if I'm applying for a job, for example, to Save the Children, okay? And I know Save the Children is more children-centered. Now, mine is to ask myself, what would actually make me stand out, okay? Stand out in, let's say, in a job that is that Save the Children, okay? So if I'm a person who has interest in children, okay, who has interest in child rights and governance, I maybe be able to maybe include it somewhere. But I'll give you an example from what we've just looked at from this job. Actually, not. I'll just show you with the previous job, the one we looked at. I think if you remember, it was this job. I could show you. This job had a value here. You see this value? This value is high level of integrity is not a skill, okay? It is a value. integrity is not a skill, it is a value. So I'm able to include that in my personal statement, okay? Maybe I'm a person of high levels of integrity, or who believes in integrity, okay? So I'm able to see how I can include those keywords right there. Just know that whatever somebody includes on the job description here, they have reasons why they should include it there, okay? They have reasons why they should actually include it. So it's important. So I hope that answers you. You can Google about values in your profession, and you can be able to find them. For example, I'll just show you something here. This is the internal code of ethics of professional accountants. The fundamental principles, I've just put professional values in accounting. You can say integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality. So these are like the values, okay, that relate. So your values should relate to the job, or they can relate to the organization, okay? Yeah. If, for example, it's a Christian founded organization, that also, if you're going to work for organizations like Compassion International, maybe Christian child organizations, you may want to bring in your aspect of your Christ-centered, okay? So depending on the job basically, and depending on the organization you're going to, should be able to depict your personal values, okay? So I believe I've answered your question right there, okay? So it's very important. Now, one of the other things that I also want to share with you, okay, I've talked about other trainings, language, proficiency, this section, cases where, for example, a given job requires a given proficiency in a given language, okay, you may want to include this here, okay? If you are going to work in an organization that is maybe French, Oregon, you may want to include it right there, okay? Maybe an organization like GIZ could be a German organization, and you know some German, you may include these things here, okay? Or you're going to work in a community. For example, if I'm working in Kampala, I'm now going to work in Karamoja, and I know the Karamoja language, and I'm going to work in a role that is community facing, okay? You know, there are roles that are not, if it's a banking job and you're going to be a teller, you need to know the language, okay? But there are roles that are not language focused, okay? They're not language focused. And you also don't want to, you know, in the same way people who are shortlisting are human, you don't want for somebody to feel like these people from this side are taking our jobs, okay? So only in the general thing is only include anything in the CV if it increases your chances of being hired, okay? So I hope that is a key principle for you. Like I said, the interest and hobbies should only be something that puts you out, okay? Referees are things that are asked at a later point in time, okay? Referees are not do not determine your shortlisting. Referees don't affect your shortlisting. So that is why I want to say that when you're doing your CV, make sure that if at all they have even limited this the length of your CV, okay, you may leave out the referees, because this CV is to help you be shortlisted. So if you go for the interview, you pass it well. I believe some of you, most of you have been asked to give your referees, okay? And sometimes even the maybe the online systems that you're filling already have portion like positions where you need to fill the referee information, okay? So don't make your CV. I'll tell you that by being your referee, maybe in a CV, even if somebody is a finance director and you're applying for an accounts assistant job, it does not increase any chances of being hired. Reason why, we all know the referees that you include in your CV are your sisters, are your brothers, are your uncles, are girlfriends, boyfriends, okay, or husbands. or family friend. So it will not really have a much impact onto the decision of whether to call you for the interview or not. But when that time comes and we need your referees, we shall ask for them. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's 1 minute to 9 o'clock. I would love to take any CV. Benon should say, you mean language and referees, not interest. Referees, you may leave those out. Languages, only include them if at all they increase your chances of getting the job. Okay. If they increase the chances of getting a job. For example, I'll tell you, if you include language and you putting that you know, let's say Lunyankole, then you know maybe Luchiga, and the job that I'm actually recruiting for you for is a job that is in Mbale, and I'm looking for somebody who knows maybe who knows Luma Saba. That may bias me. Okay, that may bias me. Remember, one of the things that I also want you to know with the CV is that you don't want to give more information than the necessary information that is needed to the recruiter. Okay, only give them the information they need to. And then once they invite you to the panel, okay, once they invite you for the interview, you know, in the interview room, you have a room to explain certain things about your CV, okay? You have a room, but for the CV cannot explain for itself. You cannot say, because I've included Lunyakitala, Luchiga, I also know some bit of Uganda, or, okay? Like I said, put something that makes you ahead, okay? Yeah. Aprio says, I would like to ask, part of referees, usual job asks for 3 referees. What if you just have one, since you've worked in one place? It does, okay, some CVs will ask for professionals, for professional referees. And the professional referees can be either the person whom you've worked with, it can also be your lecturer, okay? It can also be your lecturer. But even if you worked for an organization, you at least have 2 people in that organization that can actually recommend you, okay? Or you can actually have a mentor, okay? You can have a mentor that best understands you or best understands your journey and career aspirations, that you can include them there, okay? For example, if you're an accountant, you can have an accounting mentor, okay? Whom you can include there, whom you know that if they call, this person understands. And don't just include these referees without informing the people that you're including them as referees. And also make sure that every person you include as a referee, you share with them their latest CV, your latest CV, the ones that you've sent, so that they are much aware of the content that you've included. Because, for example, you might have included that maybe you're working with maybe Bamco Construction Company Limited. And for me, as your referee, I know very well that you work for Movit Uganda Limited as a salesperson, but you've included Bamco Limited because you want to depict an accounting experience, okay? Now, when they call me, mine is to say, oh, I know Susan. Susan is actually working with Movit. They're actually very good. They were able to maybe perform very well for the company, increase the sales and so what. So, and then also make sure that you include the email addresses. In most cases, and some of you will agree with me, in most cases, these reference checks are made through email. So don't just include the name, phone number, include the email as well, okay? Include the email as well. So it's very important. So, and also include people that understand you and people that are able to present you very well, and people who are aware of your career ambitions. And also, because if you're putting a professional experience, for example, I'm a person who was maybe your supervisor, they're going to send me a reference check, and what usually happens in the reference check is that they'll send me the job description of the job that you're going to do, and they'll ask me, please explain if this person can actually do the job. What are kind of key traits that John has that you think are key in performing this job? They'll ask me about things. Do you have any reservation about this person? does this person have any previous achievements? So they'll ask key technical things that this person. Now, some referees, of course, will give you a chance to respond to these things, and then you share with them, and then they share with the other person. Some referees are very professional, okay? They want to fill these things professionally without lying, and they will share them, okay? So make sure that you're making the right decision about who is in your reference check. And this person should also be much aware about your technical competence, your career aspirations, and share with them your CV so they can best understand it, okay? And always let them know of which job you've applied for and so on, okay? So that is what I can say, okay? Somebody talked of the CV template. I'll share with you some templates, but first work with the template that you have, okay? First work with the template you have. First refine the CV that you have, okay? According to what we've done, so that when you get the template, you're just trying to put it up, okay? Benon says, kindly list for us vital areas to include or help until verify what I've learned. I will start like this: my name, my address, plus email address and phone number. I'll go ahead to, before the core skills, you should start with the personal statement or career profile, okay? So number 2 should be personal statement or career profile or career summary, okay? And then the next one is core skills, okay? And you should benchmark on what has been advertised. The next one is your job experience, okay? And under job experience, you basically start with your achievements, okay? You start with your achievements before you actually go to the key skills and responsibilities. Start with achievements. And then you move to your education. Of course, I told you the decision that you make between what to appear first, either your education or job experience, is depicted or based on the job you're applying for, okay? And what makes you stand out, either is it your job experience or your academic credentials, okay, that make you related to the job. And then the other one is other certifications, okay? Now this last section, I call it, you can call it additional information, okay? Additional information, because it may not only be about other certifications, but you may also have membership. You can also have maybe recognitions. You can also have maybe awards. You can also have publications, okay? If you're in that line of industry, maybe writing and so on. Yeah, yes. And language, I already indicated that only include the language if the recruiter included it, definitely, or if at all it makes you stand out, okay? Like I've told you, whatever it's just like if you come and selling to me, maybe you're selling to me insurance services, or you're selling to me maybe a shirt. Would you want to tell me that you're Mnyankole or you're Msoga or you're Muganda? Like, does that influence the decision on to buy a shirt from you? Of course not. You'll start right away from why I should buy the shirt, okay? So that's the same thing with the CV as well. You're trying to convince the other person, why should they hire you compared to other candidates? And you also don't want to waste their time, because like we said, these people have about they have about 5 to 7 seconds to make a decision on whether they should give your CV attention or not, okay? Very important. I think you can see, like for example here where they said they should be residing near Kireka, Shaliwajal, Namugonga, surrounding areas. You make sure that you're including this within your address app. You put Yoka Kireka there, Kireka, Kampala. So immediately somebody sees somebody stays in Kireka, this is a point. The reason why they include things like this is because maybe the salary is a little smaller. So they don't want somebody who is coming from very far, who is going to incur transport expenses and who will be expensive for the company, or somebody whom they cannot even motivate, or the job requires you to work extra hours and it needs somebody who actually stays near. So include it there, okay? Don't say, I'll explain that when I'm called for the interview. include it there because it has been included within the job description and requirements. Okay. Yeah. So other than that, I hope this has been helpful to you. I would love to learn about what is your greatest takeaway just from the comment section here. What is your greatest takeaway from this, and what maybe you hope to do differently from this session? I would love to get this feedback right here. And then also the assignment you have is to update your CV. After you have updated your CV, you can share it with me. Okay. You can basically share, said Perida had a question. Usually our current employer may not be willing to recommend you for another job, yet in the CV you have to include experiences. What can be done? Now, okay, including experience does not need you to actually have a yes from your employer, because this is something that you've been doing. But if at all the other job is asking you to include professional referees, for example, let's say your current supervisor and so on, what you do is of course, one of the things is, of course, to build a relationship with your supervisor. But if you can find another person in the same department, okay, if you can find somebody in the same department who is maybe a manager, okay, who is superior to you, and you have a good relationship with them, you include that one, okay, so that when they are contacted, they can give a good, one of the things is, if I'm your boss and they contact me and I have a bad relationship with you, I'll tell you that I'll not use the nice words that other person should really hear to attract them to recruit you. Okay, you see, the reason why they use referees is like, I've not worked with this person, you has worked with them, what do you say about them? Okay, if the other person does not really bring out the right keywords, okay, this person is outstanding, this person is excellent, they're a good time manager, when you give them work, they do it promptly, they go beyond their job description, this person is motivated, they have good teamwork skills, somebody is looking out for things that make you stand out. Usually at reference level, we usually have, let's say, maybe 3 candidates, 2 or 3 candidates. Now, of those candidates, it's not that you actually you have all the chances to take the job. There's still a chance that you may not take the job if at all your reference comes out wrongly. Okay, if at all some organization will ask for references and will go directly and look for the supervisors themselves, let that happen. But if you have a chance to include somebody who can best represent you, somebody who can, if for example I'm an accountant, and I've done this before, by the way, if I'm an accountant and I'm reporting to a finance manager, but there is also maybe a project manager or maybe an area manager in the organization I'm working for, if I have a good relationship with the area manager or let's say maybe the program manager or whatever, I'll actually include those ones. Rather, I'll not include a person that I think will not represent me very well. Okay, even if they are my supervisor, I'll only include them if at all it's worst case scenario they need somebody, but I'll make sure that I include the others. So I hope that is something that is good. Okay, so keep bringing the takeaways and make sure that you work with it on your CV. At least by next week, by the time we start the last 2 days, you should have your CV. Okay, because we are one of the things that we are going to do is we are going to use your CV to craft your LinkedIn profile. Okay, remember your LinkedIn profile is actually is an insight. It's basically, it's actually also your CV, by the way. Okay, because I told you that your LinkedIn profile can appear within their system. There's an option for recruiters on LinkedIn to be able to, for the system to give you potential candidates for a given job. For example, if I have an accountant, the next class will be tomorrow. Okay, remember we said 23rd and 22nd and 23rd, and then the next class will be the next week. Okay, Yeah, so I'm saying that you want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile also has keywords for, now LinkedIn profile is a standard one, okay? You don't you're not going to maybe keep adjusting it for a given job, unless if you're applying for a given role. But if you want to be filtered out, for example, where a recruiter has asked LinkedIn, has paid them money to filter for them out an accountant who is working in Kampala, with CPA, who has given skills and so on, then you need to make sure that your CV, your LinkedIn profile makes you stand out, okay? Yeah, so that is very important. So I've gotten some takeaways from different other people. Please, can I get from other people who have also been part of this? I would love to know that you've been following, okay? I would love to know that you've been following and there's something to take away. Okay. Anthony, what is your takeaway? At least I have Thomas. Thomas, I've not heard much from you. Perina, what are some of your takeaways? Just try to include in the chat box, and that will help me also to understand what I should be able to concentrate on, okay? So make sure you do your CV. I'm going to add you to a special WhatsApp group, okay? That I usually include my mentors, so that in case you have any question, you input it in that WhatsApp group and I'll be able to answer it, okay? And one of the things that you also do, okay, since I already have you here, if you've not registered, make sure you use the link to register, because I'm going to use it to get your email address, so that in case I have any resource to share with you, I should be able to use that. But first, work on your CVs. From what we've learned, look out for jobs that are in line with your career aspiration, where you want to, which jobs you want to be applying for, okay? And go and look out and see, what do these guys usually need and what do I actually have? So what they need and you have is what you should include in your CV, as simple as that, okay? Yeah. So thanks so much, everyone, for being part of this. It's been a pleasure to have you part of this session, and thanks so much for taking a good time. One of the last thing that I also need to finish with is that never, okay, after you're done with your CV and you're sharing it with any external person, make sure that that CV is written in, is saved in PDF, okay? That CV is saved in PDF. Now, if you're working with a system that cannot save in PDF, make sure you get somebody to help you. Reason why is a CV that is in PDF looks a little much smart, okay? A CV looks much smart. When somebody sees these reds here, yes, you can say ignore all. But when somebody sees these reds, there's a way it depicts of you. If you change this into PDF, then you get to see that you not see these things. And also, if I'm opening this CV from my side, it will open based on the version that I have for my Microsoft Word. Okay, for example, I have 2010. If you prepared your CV from a Microsoft Word of 2003, then it will totally be different. Okay, so that is the other. And then I want also there's this site called there's a site called Grammarly. Okay, there's a site called Grammarly that I want you to know about. It helps you with looking out for mistakes in your CV. Okay, for example, this is if you pick this CV, I know we had finished, but just a moment. If I'm to pick, for example, this, I'm going to pick this the professional summary that I just wrote the other side, and just conclude for you. Okay, if this was my CV, is my CV, and we just conclude this. It's, some of you don't have challenges with English, so this site will help you on that. It's called Grammarly, so you can set up an account, and you can be able to it can be able to run for you the mistakes that are in your CV. Okay, For example, this was a CV that I uploaded. You can even upload your CV and it can give you the respective errors, okay? Add a comma, decision making, okay? Like for example, this one wrote decision making, tells you instead do decision with that hyphen, so and on. So it's called Grammarly. So you can just search Grammarly, okay? You can search Grammarly. For site compatibility, the site I'm going to share with you that on the WhatsApp group, okay? The site to test, to upload your CV so that it can filter out and tell you the keywords and so on. I'm going to share that with you, okay? So first work on your CV, I'll share that with you, okay? So thanks so much. It's been a pleasure to have you part of this. I wish you all the best in the rest of your careers as we start on this journey of your career development, because your CV is the first thing. Either you're applying for an internal job or you're applying for an external job, a CV is very important to you as a professional because it best represents you. And that CV that you're sharing somewhere, even if you're not being shortlisted for the job, that CV can open a door for you, okay? So it's very important. And have a positive attitude towards these things. Know that you can actually have something that good, that best represents you, that can get you that good offer, okay? So thanks so much. As always, Samuel Ibanda, I am always your coach here to come and share with you what I've learned from my journey and what also you can be able to use the other side, okay? So that is